All right, welcome to this Facebook video. I'm going to talk to you about how to activate your faith to ascend into your future. Doesn't that sound good? Okay, you know me, I like to come up with titles. But I really want to teach you something about faith tonight that will really help you on your journey. Faith is one of those things that it's easy to talk about when it's not necessary, but it's hard to even think about when you're right in the midst of it. And my objective for this video tonight is to really help you learn how to activate your faith. Faith is something you always have, but is your faith, what kind of faith do you have? That's the question. And what are you using your faith for? That's another question. And so we're going to look at what faith is, and we're going to look at what faith is not, and we're going to look at what faith can do, and we're going to look at what faith can't do, and why it's going to be a good idea for you to have faith. So faith is one of those words, unfortunately, that people believe that singing about faith and talking about faith and reading a Bible that talks about faith and hearing sermons about faith and even going to a church with faith in the name, sometimes we make the mistake of thinking that that's the same as having faith. But faith really is something very, very different than just a word. It's really a force. Faith is a force. So if I was going to, in fact, I'm going to write that because I've never said that before. So I want you to think about that. Faith is a force. So when you think about a force, that force can push you up, or it can push you down. It can push you forward, or it can push you backward. So the question you've got to ask yourself, the force of your faith, which way is it pushing you? See, when we say faith, when we say the word faith, we often think of faith in the positive connotation. And that's understandable because that's the word we use. Faith is the word we use when we're talking about a positive connotation. But when we say faith, another word that would be a synonym for faith would be the word what? It would be the word belief, wouldn't it? So belief would be a synonym for faith. So and that's not a surprise to anybody that belief is a synonym for faith. But you know what would be a surprise to a lot of people? What would be a surprise to a lot of people is that the word fear is also a synonym for the word belief. So fear would not be a synonym for the word faith, but it would be a synonym for the word belief. Now what you're probably wondering is, well, how can faith be similar to belief and fear be similar to belief and faith and fear not be similar to each other? Well, the same way that if I had a quarter in my hand, that quarter, heads on that quarter would be equal to the quarter and tails would be equal to the quarter, but heads and tails would not be equal to each other. Heads would be heads and tails would be tails. See, what I want you to understand is that faith and fear are both belief. I could give you another word that would be a synonym, and that's the word doubt. See, doubt, believe it or not, doubt is belief. Now, I didn't say that doubt is faith, but I said doubt is belief. And see, you've got to understand how all this stuff works instead of just having a word that you use with an assumed definition. In other words, you assume you know the meaning of the word, and other people assume they know, and you assume they know, and they assume you know, and really, very few people have ever thought about the definitions of any of these words. So what I want to do tonight is I want to show you from a biblical perspective, as well as a business perspective and a financial perspective, the word faith and the word belief and the word fear and the word doubt and how all these things are operating in your lives and in my life as well all the time. And what we've got to do is we've got to figure out how we're going to structure this, which side of the faith coin, or I should say which side of the belief coin am I going to focus on? Am I going to focus on the tails side, the fear and the doubt and the anxiety? Or am I going to focus on the head side of that same coin, faith and anticipation? So that's what I've got to determine. And that's what you've got to determine. And we all have to get to the place in our lives where we realize that the greatest, like I said, faith is a force, but it's the most faith is not just a force, but it is the most powerful. It's the most powerful force that you and I as human beings have control over. See, like circumstances, right, the word circumstances. We don't have control over circumstances. You don't have control over what happens to you. Like the stuff that happens to you in life, oftentimes you have no control. Some stuff that happens to you have control over, right? Because you did it, right? In the words of Og Mandino, the path is smooth, why do you throw stones before you? So yes, you do have control over some circumstances, but some circumstances you have no control over. They just happen, right? But what you do have control over in that circumstance is whether what you're going to use your belief for. You have in the midst of whatever circumstance you're going through, you have control over whether you're going to use your belief for fear or whether you're going to use your belief for faith. Whether you're going to use your belief for doubt or whether you're going to use your belief for faith. Whether you're going to use your belief for anxiety or whether you're going to use your belief for anticipation. You have control. So what you've got to do is you got to determine, you got to make up your mind in advance. Before the circumstance comes to you, you got to make up your mind how you're going to go to it. Because when the circumstance comes, it's too late to figure out how you're going to handle it. You got to make up your mind in advance of getting to that circumstance. You got to be the kind of person that there are some things you will not do. There are some places you will not go. There are some words you won't say. There are some things you won't put in your body. There's some activities you won't participate in. There are some jokes you won't laugh at. And there are some feelings that you will not allow to invade your person. That's your decision. No, you can't determine whether or not Goliath shows up. That's not up to you. But you can choose whether you're going to run towards Goliath like David did or whether you're going to run from Goliath like everybody else did. That's what you've got to determine. And so, what I want to do is I want to show you how it works so you can work it. See, most people don't have the ability to work their faith because they don't know how their faith works. So I'm going to show you how your faith works so you can figure out how to work your faith. So the first thing we got to do, if we're going to refine any concept like I talked about when I was teaching on making sense of marketing madness, if you're going to refine any concept in your life, if you're going to refine an aspect of your life, then in order to refine that concept, you must first define that concept. So before I can help you even begin to step into faith and begin to operate in faith and begin to activate your faith so you can ascend into your future, before I can even talk about that, the first thing I've got to do is I must define what faith is. Right? Okay. So, by the way, faith is not a feeling, but faith gives you a feeling. So if you're taking notes, that's a writer downer. Faith is not a feeling, but faith does give you a feeling. Okay? So, I'm going to tell you what faith is. Faith is, and you all know the verse, Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1. You know what it says? Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So the question then is, what's the first word in that verse? What's the first word in that verse? Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1. What's the first word in that verse? Type it in on Facebook. I can almost see your comments from here. Okay, that's right. Faith is not a feeling. But faith creates a feeling. So what's the first word in the verse? Type it in. Okay. And yes, what faith is. Okay, that's right. Okay, Carlos Spencer, my man. So he got it. Carlos got it. So the first word in that verse is the word now. So I want you to understand that now is a very critical part of understanding what faith is. Faith, real faith, is something that you can only have in a now situation that requires that you have faith. Have you ever watched somebody like go through a trial? Maybe they lost their job, maybe they got bad news from the doctor, maybe their house burnt down, maybe they lost a limb, maybe they lost a loved one. They went through something really, really hard, really, really difficult, and you watched them from the outside in, and they had so much peace and joy in that situation, and you said, man, I don't know how they could go through that like that. And then you might even say something like, what? I could never go through that like that. And in reality, you don't really know if you could go through something like that, or not. But it doesn't seem like to you that you could go through that the way they went through it. How many of y'all know what I'm talking about? So, but the reason you can't, you say, I don't know how they could go through that, is because they are in a now that you are not in. So therefore, you don't need the now faith that they need when they are in the now. See, their now is your then, right? So something they're going through now might be something you're going to go through then. But because they are in the now, they get now faith. So from now on, when you think of Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1, and it says, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen, I don't want you to think of faith, the word now, as just being a word that, okay, we're going to start this sentence with the word now as a placeholder because we don't have anything else to say. I want you to think of the word now from now on. From now on, when you think of now, right, I want you to think of now as an adjective that describes the kind of faith that you're going to have when you go through a situation. So what kind of faith is it that gives somebody the ability to go through losing their job with joy and peace? I'll tell you what kind of faith it is. It's now faith. What kind of faith is it that causes somebody to go through getting bad news from a doctor and having more peace in the midst of that storm than you have while you're watching them go through that storm? I'm going to tell you what kind of faith it is. It's now faith. What kind of faith is it that causes someone, I want you to really wrap your mind around this, since this is a business, since this Facebook group is a business group. What kind of faith is it that causes a man and his family to work on a family business called Building the Ark for 120 years because God told them that water was going to fall down out of the sky, and in 420 years of his existence on this planet, he had never seen one raindrop. And even though he had never seen one evidence that what God told him was going to happen, he spent 120 years of his life. From the time he was 480 till the time he was 600 years old, he spent 120 years working on a boat in the middle of the wilderness. What kind of faith is that? That's called now faith. What kind of faith was it that caused Joseph to rise from the pit to Potiphar's house, down to the prison, and back up to the palace? What was it that caused? What kind of faith was it? It was now faith. What kind of faith was it that caused Moses to hold his rod over the Red Sea and the Red Sea parted? It was now faith. And I could go on and on and on and on. And I'm sure some of you have gone through things in your life where you could clearly see that before that time, you couldn't imagine that you would be able to go through that thing that you went through, and then you went through it, and you went through it with grace, and you went through it with peace, and you went through it with joy. And you didn't understand it, but now you understand the reason you were able to go through that was because you had now faith. What kind of faith? Now faith. And here's what you're going to need, by the way. You want to be a millionaire? Really? Okay, here's what it's going to take. It's going to take some now faith. You want to build a business that makes you $20,000, $40,000, $80,000 a month? Here's what it's going to take. It's going to take believing in some things that you cannot see. And it's going to take you doing that now. Did you get what I just picked? Did you pick up what I just put down? So now faith is the kind of faith we're talking about. What kind of faith? Type it in there for me, my peoples. What kind of faith? Now faith. Now faith is the substance. Now sub is a prefix. What does sub mean? Sub means under. So now faith is something that's under me. So faith. So I said before that faith is a force, didn't I? But I want you to understand that faith is not just a force, but faith is what? Faith is a foundation. It's something you're standing on. Now faith is the substance. Sub means under. Subfloor goes under the floor. Subway goes under the ground, right? So substance is something that's under you. So faith, now faith, is the kind of faith that holds you up when you feel like falling down. Now faith is the kind of faith that lifts you up after the enemy knocks you down. Now faith is the kind of faith that's under you that holds you up when you feel like you can't stand anymore. What kind of faith? Now faith. Now faith is the substance. Stance. There's that word. Now faith is the substance. What's stand mean? Stand means to stand upon. You know what's really interesting? Mishael, Hananiah, and Azariah, a.k.a. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they had now faith. They had the kind of now faith that caused them to stand in the presence of an evil king and say, we will not bow down. I don't care what you do to us. I don't care what threats you do. I don't care how mad you get. I don't care how your visage is changed, which means his face went from, all right, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, y'all know I like y'all. You know what we're going to do. I'm going to give you one more chance. They said, hey, we want you to know, O king, we're not going to be careful how we answer you in this matter. We want you to know that our God whom we serve will deliver us, is able to deliver us, and he will. But even if he doesn't, we're not going to bow down. Right? That was now faith that gave them the ability to stand in the presence of an evil king. Guess what the king did? He took the most mighty men that were in his army. He said, this is what we're going to do. Take Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Throw them into the fiery furnace. The furnace was so hot. I'm telling you, when you have now faith that causes you to stand, when other people are capitulating, here's what happens. It makes people lose their mind. The king said, heat the furnace 7 times hotter than it's wont to be heated, than it needs to be heated. He said, I'm going to kill y'all 7 times deader than anybody's ever been killed. I mean, really? How hot does the fire have to be in order to kill somebody? I think it just has to be a fire, right? But they stood. What happened? Nebuchadnezzar tied them up. Nebuchadnezzar threw them in the fiery furnace. And then what happened? Then what happened is the scripture says they fell down bound in the midst of the fire. I'm going to tell you something. When your trial comes that requires that you have now faith, sometimes you're going to fall down bound in the middle of the trial. Sometimes you're going to fall down bound in the middle of the furnace. Sometimes you're going to fall down bound in the middle of the trap that the enemy has set for you. But guess what? Here's what it says. Then the king's counselors and his ministers said to the king Nebuchadnezzar, did not we throw 3 men bound into the fire? Here's what he said. Lo, I see 4 men loosed, walking in the midst of the fire, which means what? They had something under them that helped them to stand back up, even after they fell down. The substance. I see 4 men loose, walking in the midst of the fire, and the form of the 4th is like unto the Son of God. You say, Myron, what are you talking about? I'm talking about now faith gives you the ability to stand when everybody else bows down. Now faith gives you the ability to stand after you've fallen down. Now faith gives you the ability to stand back up after you've been knocked down. You know what? Here's what I noticed. I noticed that it's easy for people to believe when it looks like it's going to work. When it looks like what's going to work. Anything. Like it's easy to believe. When it looks like everything's going to be all right, everybody can stand. But as soon as it looks like, oh, this ain't going to work, that's when people start throwing in the towel. I'm like, really? Like, I am so thankful. I am so thankful that God made me not real smart, but really, really stubborn. Not real smart, so I didn't always figure everything out right away, but he made me really, really stubborn so I wouldn't give up. So whatever I was working on always gave in before I did. I'm going to tell you something. I haven't had the privilege of making millions of dollars because I'm so smart. I haven't had the privilege of helping other people make millions of dollars because I'm so smart. The reason I've had the ability to write a best-selling book and to sell millions of dollars worth of products and teach my students how to sell $1 million of products, the reason I've had the ability to do that because I just wouldn't quit. I'm going to tell you something. Here's what I promise you. I promise you if you will learn how to stand when you want to fall, your life will look different in 3 years. Now faith is a substance. Now here's this next word. I really like this word. Now faith is the substance of things. I like that word things. You know what that word things means in the Greek? The word things in the Greek, here's what it means. Everybody get your pencil ready. It means things. Faith is the substance of things. Now, there are those who would have you to believe that there's something wrong with you having a desire to have things or to have nice things. Like there are people out there, there are people of, quote, faith, right? That's what they call themselves, people of faith, who would have you to believe that there's something wrong with you because you desire to have a nice house, or because you desire to have a nice car, or because you desire to wear nice clothes or have nice jewelry. Now, I'm going to tell you something. Here's what I've learned. I've driven some of the nicest cars that the world has ever seen. And I'm going to tell you something. Eventually, it becomes just a car. Right? But maybe you haven't had the car of your dreams yet to find out that. So hey, more power to you. If that's what you got to do, if you got to go get a Mercedes or a Bentley or a Rolls or whatever, Lamborghini, Ferrari, whatever, so you can figure out that at the end of the day, eventually it becomes just a car. But there's nothing wrong with you having a desire for those things. There's nothing wrong with you desiring nice furniture and nice art to decorate your home with. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that whatsoever. In fact, God's the one that set it up that way. The desire in you for nicer and better is a desire that was given to you by God. How do I know that? Well, I know it from Genesis chapter 1 because he really gave us so many clues about how to win in the first chapter of the Bible. But it tells us in Genesis chapter 1 that God established the platform. For those of you who are part of the Virtual Millionaire Club, you've probably already seen the video inside the VMC on how to make the rest of your life the best of your life. Well, what did I teach you in that training program, in that lesson that I was speaking at City Life Church in Tampa? What did you learn from that? Well, God established the platform. What's the platform? The platform is time, space, and matter, right? See, God had to create time, and then he had to create space, and then he had to create stuff, right? Matter, right? And then we looked at the fact that God created the parameters. What are the parameters? Be, do, and have. And the parameter of being is for the platform of time. The parameter of doing is for the platform, the parameter of doing is for the platform of space, right? But the parameter of matter is for the platform of having. Be, do, have. We're supposed to become more in time, do things in space, and when I say space, the area around us, and we're supposed to have stuff. That's how God set it up. I know that's how he set it up, so I don't have to apologize for desiring that. How much money do you want to make, Myron? As much as I can. Well, don't you mean as much as you can legally, morally, and ethically? That's already implied. How healthy do you want to be? As healthy as I can, legally, morally, and ethically. How smart do you want to be? Well, I want to be as smart as I can, legally, morally, and ethically. I don't have to justify that. Don't stop feeling like you have to justify to people who think that you should be broke. Stop feeling like you have to justify to them your desire to achieve. Like, hey, their judgment of you is their problem. They're the ones who are attempting to stand in the place of Christ. Okay, so, done with that. Now faith is the substance of things. Now here, I love these two words. Of things hoped for. Now, the word hope doesn't mean a wish. See, the word hope means expect. The word hope means a well-founded, well-grounded expectation for the future. I'm going to say it again. It's a well-grounded, well-founded, well-grounded expectation for the future. So when it says, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, that means now faith is where I stand, watch this now, on the things that I expect. So I'm standing on the things I expect, which means I'm standing on things that aren't actually here yet. See, your ability to become wealthy will only be as good as your ability to expect to become wealthy. Because expectation is your greatest superpower as a human being. It's my greatest superpower too. By the way, you already use it very well. Expectation is a part of your subconscious operating system. So the things that you expect, you produce. And I often ask this question. What if the mind is a computer? And what if all of the stuff you have in your life is a 3D printout of the programming going on in your computer? What if you 3D printed your bank account, and you 3D printed your car, and you 3D printed your house, and you 3D printed your library, and you 3D printed your relationships? What if you're 3D printing all of the results in your life? Because you are. Now faith is the substance of things, what? Things hoped for. So now faith is where I stand on the things I expect. And then it says what? What's the word? Evidence. What's the word evidence mean? It says now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. What's the word evidence? Talk to me, my peeps. What's the word evidence mean? I know somebody can type. Evidence. That's right. 3D printing everything in your life. You're 3D printing everything in your life. You got that right. And by the way, some people 3D print. Some people 3D print failure perpetually because they quit everything good. Everything good in their life, they quit. So guess what they keep doing? They keep printing more lack and more less and more failure. That's right. It's proof. Y'all got it. So the word evidence means proof. And here's what it says. Evidence of things. There's that word again. I'm going to write it in the same color. Things. The evidence of things. What? Things. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Not seen. Now, I'm going to tell you something now. I am going to blow your minds tonight. I'm almost done, kind of. You know me. My Facebook Lives are never short. I want them to be short. I just don't know how to make them short. Pray for me that my Facebook Lives will get shorter. Okay? So, it says the evidence of things not seen. So now, maybe for the first time in your life, you're going to have a very real, practical understanding of these words that you've known for a very long time. You may have known these words for decades. You may have known these words for several years, but you didn't have any idea what they meant. So now I'm going to show you what this all means. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for. Now faith. What kind of faith? Now faith is where I stand on the things I expect, watch this now, while I prove the things I cannot see. Did y'all pick that up? Now faith is where I stand on the things I expect while I prove the things I cannot see. That's what Hebrews 11:1 says. It says now faith. What kind of faith? Now faith. See, hey, guess what? It's easy to believe when the check comes. It's hard to believe when you've talked to 16 people and everybody said no. Whether you're selling insurance, selling cars, selling health supplements, whether you're selling the Virtual Millionaire Club, whatever. It's easy to believe when the check comes. It's hard to believe when it seems like everybody's saying no. And the reality is there's no such thing as everybody saying no because you're not even talking to everybody. Right? Like some of you don't even talk to, some of you, bless your hearts, God love you and I do too. You haven't talked to 25 people about the VMC since you got started. But you take somebody like Keisha Bass, who's got like, I don't know, I haven't even looked today. I'm scared to look. She's probably got 50 members by now, but somewhere between 47 and 50 members. There's a reason for that. She sends out emails. She inboxes people. She talks to people. She tells people about the VMC, right? You take somebody like Kemp Satcher, who's got 58 memberships. 58 memberships. Guess what? You don't get 58 memberships without like making some noise in the marketplace, right? And a bunch of you have sold memberships, right? But it's easy to believe when people are saying yes. It's hard to believe when people are saying no. But guess what? Faith is required. Faith is necessary. Faith is absolutely necessary when everybody's saying no. It's not nearly as necessary when everybody's saying yes. Right? So, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. And I want you to really wrap your mind around this last phrase right here. Not seen. I can't see it. I can't see. Myron, I want to believe, but I can't see it. I know. That's why you need to what? Stand when you can't see. Stand up. I'm going to tell you how to develop the faith in your life. Stand up, close your eyes, and open your ears. Stand up, close your eyes. I'm going to draw a picture because I can. I don't know why I drew the dude blue, but that's him. I know, y'all didn't know I could draw that good. Calm down. It's going to be okay. Okay, so this guy right here, we're going to call him the dude. I just made that up. Okay, so this dude right here, he wants to have faith. Here's what he's got to do. He's got to close his eyes. Why? Because doubt is created in the eyes. Faith is created in the ears. So the question that I have for you is this. It's twofold. One, who are you listening to and what are you looking at? You say, man, how do you know that doubt is created in the eyes and faith is created in the ears? Well, it's easy. Because doubt causes you to see things that aren't there as if they're there. And faith causes you to hear things that are there that don't look like they're there. You say, what do you mean? Okay. I'll give you a couple of examples. First of all, the scripture says we walk by faith, not by sight. The Apostle Paul's not patting us on the back and saying, good job, boys. We walk by faith and not by sight. What he's saying is we should be walking by faith and not walking by sight. We should be walking by what we hear, where the doctrine comes in, not by what we see, where the doubt comes in. So faith is created in the eyes. Doubt's created in the ears. What happens? When I think about the story of Jesus being asleep on the boat in Mark chapter 4. He's asleep on a pillow in the hinder part of a ship, asleep on a pillow. So here's what that tells us. Jesus is cozy. He's in the hinder part of the ship. He's calm. He's asleep. And he's comfortable. He's on a pillow. Hey, a storm comes. And he's just as knocked out as he can be. The disciples, the ship is full of water. But yet it didn't sink. Why? Well, because before they got in the ship, Jesus said to the disciples, let us pass over to the other side. If they would have only remembered what their ears heard, they would have been able to get past what their eyes were seeing. And their eyes were seeing a storm. And their eyes were seeing a ship that was in the water. Now when a water that was in the ship. When the ship's in the water, that's okay. But then when the water's in the ship, that's a problem. They saw water in the ship. Here's what they said. They went and woke him up. They said, Master, carest thou not that we perish? I want you to notice what he did. He went up on the deck of the ship, and here's what it says. He rebuked the wind and said unto the sea, peace be still. I find it interesting that he rebuked the wind, but he spoke to the sea. Why did he rebuke the wind and not rebuke the sea? Isn't that a good question? Well, because the wind is a picture of false doctrine. The scripture says we should not be tossed to and fro with every what? Wind of doctrine. So the wind is a picture of false doctrine, and false doctrine should always be rebuked. But the waves are a picture of false doubt. The false doubt, Jesus doesn't rebuke us for our doubt. He just speaks to our doubts. Why does he speak to our doubt? Because he knows when he speaks to our doubts, my sheep hear my voice and I know them and they follow me, and I give unto them eternal life, and they shall never perish. Neither shall any man pluck them out of my hand. My Father which gave them to me is greater than all, and no man is able to pluck them out of my Father's hand. The voice of the Master. He spoke to their doubts. Why? Because faith is created in the ears. How do I know faith is created in the ears? Romans chapter 10 tells us what? Faith cometh by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. Oh, so what do we see? We see that faith is created in the ears and doubt is created in the eyes. So when it looks like it's not working, close your eyes and listen for the right voice. Man, I hope I'm helping somebody. So, I know I've used a lot of words already, and it's 9:32. I'm not going to be super long tonight. I'm going to end up on this. I'm going to end up on this. I want you to understand that when we talk about faith, there are three kinds of faith. There are three kinds of faith. We find all three kinds of faith mentioned in James chapter 2. The first kind of faith we see mentioned is dead faith. What is dead faith? Faith without works is dead faith. So when somebody says they believe something and they don't do anything to take action on that thing they said they believe, that's called dead faith. Dead faith is like a head knowledge that creates no action, right? That's dead faith. Okay, then there's another kind of faith. It's called demonic faith. say demonic faith. What do you mean demonic faith? Demons don't have faith. Well, that's not what the scripture says. Here's what it says. You say that thou hast faith and that you have faith and I have works. Show me your faith without your works. I'll show you my faith by my works. But here's what he said. He said, you believe there is one God, you do well. But here's what he said. The devils believe also and tremble. What's demonic faith? Demonic faith is the kind of faith that causes you to fear, but doesn't cause you to change. So, demonic faith. I got faith like a demon. Yeah, I'm afraid. One of these days I'm going to stand before God. One of these days I'm going to have to answer to God. But I'm not too worried about it. I'm just going to keep on living my life the way I want to live my life. See, dead faith causes you to do nothing. Demonic faith at least causes you to fear. Right? And then we have the fourth kind of faith, which is my favorite kind, and God's favorite kind as well. What kind of faith is that? That is dynamic faith. By the way, do you realize dynamic faith is the kind of faith that causes you to act? Causes you to act on what? It causes you to act on what you know from what you've heard, not on what you think from what you see. Dynamic faith. Dynamic faith is the kind of faith that activates. Dynamic faith is the kind of faith that gives you a bad case of the I can't help it. I believe this so much I can't help but do something about it. See, that's the kind of faith that will change your life. That's the kind of faith that will cause you to stand when everybody else is falling. That's the kind of faith that will cause you to stand when everybody else is bound down. Now, here's what I know. By the way, the reason I'm teaching you this right now is because I myself need to hear it. You say you yourself need to hear it? Yeah. So some of you guys are wondering what's going on. Why haven't we heard from Myron? I'm going to tell you what's going on so you can know. By the way, here's my belief. This is my belief. So I know that some of you are with me for the long haul because you know there's no place else you're going to go and get this, right? This kind of solid foundational truth. So I'm going to be very transparent with you. Like if I was a quitter, I would have quit 3 weeks ago, right? I'm just keeping it real. But I'm not a quitter. I'm a fighter. I last through the learning curve. I'm the guy who worked selling insurance for 1.5 years and did not make a single sale for 1.5 years. When I struggled, I still didn't quit. You say, why didn't you quit? Quit and do what? The reason I'm not going to quit this is because this is where I'm planting my flag. This is it. I am going to create an army by the grace of God. My goal, the thing that I'm working towards is to create an army first of all, so just so you know where I'm going. My goal for the Virtual Millionaire Club is this. I'm going to create an army of virtual millionaires. What does that mean? I'm going to create an army of people who have a passive $5,000 a month coming in to them without them having to go out and get it every single month. I'm going to create, by the grace of God, an army of cash flow millionaires. What is a cash flow millionaire, Myron? A cash flow millionaire is a person who is cash flowing $1 million a year. Their business revenues are $84,000 a month. I want to build an army of people who are cash flowing. See, I've already done this for myself. Now my goal, my objective, my desire is for me to build something where you can go out and set your family free. It's not about me being free. It's not about just my family being free. It's about our families being free, right? And by the way, that's going to require some work. And it's not going to be a lay down. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be like, oh, the enemy's just going to go lay down and get out of our way. No. It's not how it works. The enemy is going to kick and scratch and fight the whole way there. They're going to fortify. The enemy's going to fortify his work, right? That's his problem, not ours. Because I'm going to tell you what we're going to do. We're going to take this thing to a whole nother level. Get ready. Now, the reason I'm telling you that is last month, and I've told you this already, last month, the merchant account provider we were using, Stripe, they sent me an email and said, we are not going to take your credit card processing anymore. I had to find a different credit card processor. I didn't really have to find one because I already had one, but I had to find a new gateway for an old credit card processor. So I had to connect all that stuff. And the reason I'm telling you this is because this is what I've been working on while, amongst all the other stuff that I have to do. So I had to change all that stuff over. Now we have to as you know, the affiliate software that we have is not the best, right? So I'm working on getting a new affiliate platform set up, which created a whole bunch of technical challenges, right? Technical people would understand. I don't understand all of them. I just understand how to get them fixed. Like, I don't have any quit in me. You want to be successful? Get to the place you don't have any quit in you. This is going to work because I'm going to make it work. When you join that club, now you'll be in the real Virtual Millionaire Club. In the Virtual Millionaire Club that understands how to not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not, right? So we're setting up a whole new platform. I'm working on setting up a whole new affiliate platform. There's just a lot of work in the transition, moving all that stuff over. And so don't worry about it at all. By the way, many of you are going to get not all of you, but many of you are going to get a phone call from me or somebody in my office because we're going to need to update your payment information to make sure the person who you bought your membership through gets credit for your sale in perpetuity. Because what happened is when we set up the new merchant account, when they downloaded all of the credit card information, they did it in an encrypted fashion so we could push it over into the new gateway, but it went through the gateway, but it didn't go through ClickFunnels. So we can't just run all those credit cards without those people getting credit for the sales that they did. So we have to manually do like 160, 170 different entries after we get the new platform set up. So if you're wondering where I've been, that's where I've been. I've been working on stuff like a three-legged mule for you. I was telling Kemp Satcher the other day. I went and got myself a job called the Virtual Millionaire Club, so that we can help you become free, right? So I am literally working the Virtual Millionaire Club like a job. I know some of you sent me emails. You're having trouble with your affiliate link. I promise you, we're going to get your affiliate links squared away, and we'll do it within the next couple of days. By Monday, all of your affiliate links will be out. If I've got to reach out to each and every one of you, if you're having a problem, send an email to whatever the email address is. I don't even remember. vmcaffiliatemanager@gmail.com. I think that's what it is. vmcaffiliatemanager@gmail.com. I got you covered, folks. I ain't going nowhere. I ain't going nowhere but up. And for those of you who hang in there, you're going up with me. I'm not going to leave you behind. I'm taking you with me. If you don't let go of my hand as we head into the financial promised land, I'm not going to let go of your hand. I love and appreciate each and every one of you. Once we get all this technical gobbledygook settled, I'll be a lot more active in the Facebook group. I'll be a whole lot easier to reach in the short term. Once we get past 1,000, 10,000, like right now, I mean, if you think about it, we're like I think 7 weeks old, maybe just under 7 weeks, and in just under 7 weeks, we have 277, 280 members. That's a lot of members. And that's a lot of migration that we have to do to a new system. Now, if I had known that the system that I had wouldn't support it, I would have built it on a different system anyway. It's all good though. Whatever the case may be, y'all are in the right place at the right time. Because what I'm going to do, I know what I'm going to do. Like my goal is to build this to 1 million, 2 million, 3 million members, right? So if you will learn how to develop now faith, what kind of faith? Now faith. You're going for a ride that is going to be the best financial ride of your life. I appreciate each and every one of you. Now faith is where I stand on the things I expect while I prove the things I cannot see. I'm sure I'll have more to say about this in the future, but for right now, good night and God bless. Hang in there with me. I love you. Y'all are my peeps. I don't even think you understand how much like I am all in it to win it with you and for you. Now faith is where I stand on the things I expect while I prove the things I cannot see. God bless.